everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Show by Iskandar Investment Berhad. I'm Elaine Daly, and we are here with none other than Norlida Azmi, who is a HR doyen. Now, what is a HR doyen, Orly?
I'm not sure. I think a doyen is somebody
who is expert in her field.
Who tries to be an expert but learn along the way to be a better expert.
Anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank
Thank you for being here with us. How you been?
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about communication skills. I mean, it's a word that is used very loosely, very widely and loosely. And people are saying, yeah, you need to communicate. What is it? Is it talking? Is it looking? Is it verbalizing? Is it, what is it?
Communication is today almost like a currency for trust. It's just not just to direct. I think when people communicate, they want to connect, right? They want to inspire. And along the way, because we are so much now in an ecosystem, how do we bring others to grow along the way? And I think communication now is like, sometimes, like I say, it's like the cure for everything. And it's never just about verbal, it's also non-verbal. And they look for authenticity in your communication. You can rehearse all the script, but it has to come from intent and purpose, yes.
How did you start off? I mean, like in your career, in your early days, I mean, how did you decide that, HR was something that you wanted to do, or, being with people, because it's very people orientated. And people, as we know, are not the easiest components to manage. What made you decide on working mostly with people?
I think early in my career, working with people was never about the internal people. It was more, I was very much client-facing. Communication has to be tailored to your audience. So when you're talking to the various different stakeholders, you use different narrative, you use different tone, because early on, I was guided that you speak to influence, and you write to persuade. So do you go to the point? Do you address the needs? And I think one of the things now, I think communication has also evolved is, with so many generations, not just in the workplace, but in your ecosystem, are you using the right vocabulary? Because some words some generations may use, and like the Gen Zs who says, what on earth are they saying?
Sure.
And the reverse is equally true, like, oh my God, what are all these new acronyms?
Jargons.
Right, and it's like, how do you keep pace? I think communication is about being relevant, and how do you touch people and leave an impact.
Leaders need to learn from this, and they need to, I'm sure some of them already resonate with this, but those who are on the receiving end, how well have they received this?
I think let's go from when leaders are communicating, especially in our parts of the world, there's a lot of role modeling. So when leaders speak, do they speak with intent? Do they listen effectively? Do they suspend judgment? Do they remain curious longer? And do they create a safe space so that people dare to voice it out? And I think when I referred to just now about inclusivity, if you give that psychological safety, inclusivity almost automatically comes about.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the elements of the leaders. And when you go into a leader communicating, do people listen?
Or do they operate from fear?
Yes, and it's like when you communicate with authenticity, with transparency and clarity, it's phenomenal. And you can have these conversations where then the people who are receiving said that, oh yeah, I can have a feedback. So do the leaders, because that's communications, that's two-way.
Yeah.
And I think when communication is effective, they bond that threads of trust and clarity, it's very powerful. I believe when feedback is very genuine, it's very, very powerful. I think that's the greatest gift that leaders can give when they care to listen. They take diverse, absolutely, empathy and an openness to diverse perspectives.
Audience here are working from home, watching this on a Friday afternoon. What's your take on this whole hybrid working thing?
I believe that hybrid is really good for the organization. We begin from the foundation of trust. This is where I open up by saying that communication now is a trust currency. If you go with intent, sincerity, and authenticity, I think it will work. But you have to trust. Will there be people that might abuse it? There is. But why do we cater for a small population that will abuse it versus those that will actually appreciate it? You'll be more productive. working 8 hours doesn't mean you'll have the same productivity as somebody who already deliver with that 4 hours. And I think once you build that capability, people won't abuse it. But there must be constant touch points, not just by the top leaders, by the people managers, by your colleagues. And I think it's an internal ecosystem that will make this more flexible working arrangement very open. A lot of organizations today are re-looking at the elements that will drive a transformative culture. But what are the behaviors? What are the enablers? It's a two-way street from the organization, the leaders, but as well as our own people.
Okay, wow, that's very interesting. I mean, talking about challenges and stuff like that, right? What are your biggest challenges when it comes to communicating with people or working with people? You know, I mean, are there certain type of people that, you know, like for example, narcissists out there, you know, who are not going to listen to anything that you say? What are your biggest challenges?
I think the biggest challenges is we're a very polite society. You know, when you don't say what you need to say, sometimes the noisy one drowns the quiet one, you know, and you're trying to give them the eye, okay, let your other person speak. But if you can then play the gatekeeper and then say, do they
controlling
have equal
the
voices?
crowd
Yes. And you must open out with that. Give your audience that psychological safety. Because when you feel safe and your voices can be heard, then you dare to speak the more impactful thing. You're not just waffling or you're parroting something just to sound right.
Sure.
And I believe if there's some bad behavior, I don't believe in shaming publicly. Perhaps you have to have that courageous conversation and say, hey, that was not right. And I think that's my
Have
issue.
you had many of those conversations before?
Yes, I have. And I
And
have had...
it's uncomfortable?
It is, but you know, it's so funny. Once you build that trust in a certain room, I have this high-performing person. I can say, shh, quiet. I need to hear the other person. But you know, you're already operating in a room full of trust.
Right.
So you can be more blunt. But you're not, then you be careful how you say it, when you say it. I do believe that we should respect our culture. We should always preserve the face and the dignity of our people, know what to say and when to say it. I think that's part of effective communication, whether it be in the office or even at home.
Right. Before I let you go, I mean, you know, in this day and age, with the emergence of social media now, that's also a form of communication. What's your take on social media? And you know, do you think people should be posting up stuff, and you know, whether it's on LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, and you know, being that influence for other people?
I believe we should allow people, because we are human nature. The more you say no, they find a way.
They will do it right.
And if they find it in other ways, it's worse. I think organizations, if you're coming from a professional perspective, maybe you lay some guardrails. And if you're hiring the right people, they will respect that this is an organizational interest. We should know which platforms you can talk about funny stuff and which one would really
be more professional.
We all carry the organizational brand. If you're leaders, you carry your leadership brand. And collectively, we do carry our organizational, the big brand. Because I think today, the younger generation, as much as we check on them before we hire them on all social media and all your digital breadcrumbs, they check on us too.
So we've got to be very mindful about what we put out there as well. I mean, that's communication for you.
Absolutely. And I think rather than deny it, why don't we just embrace it and guide people along the way? There are going to be some people that will fall. But, you know, that's life. I think we just try and get into the right and make sure that the communication, give them tools, because you can't imagine that everybody has the same kind of tools. And communication is also, you don't have to speak King's English now, but you have to be honest, you have to be courageous, and that's more difficult than...
And authentic, right?
And if you use fancy words, nobody's going to understand you anyways,
Correct.
You know? So I think that's where I would say that impactful communication is totally with intent and with authenticity.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time
you.
and for being on the show. Wish you all the best, whatever that you're going to be doing next. And thank you for being such a wonderful audience.